The council chamber of the stars hung suspended in the void between galaxies, a magnificent structure of crystalline architecture that had witnessed 10,000 years of galactic politics. Today, its polished floors reflected an unprecedented gathering. Representatives from 47 species filled the tiered seating, their varied forms creating a tapestry of galactic diversity. At the center stood Imelda Chen, humanity's first ambassador to the council. Her dark eyes steady despite the weight of 1,000 alien gazes upon her. "The human petition is denied," announced Overlord Crystal, his forearms spreading wide in a gesture of finality. The insectoid commander's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. "Your species lacks the technological merit for council membership. Your warships are primitive, your weapons antiquated. You are denied." A wave of agreement rippled through the chamber. The Voltorians chirped their approval. The silicon-based Kreth hummed in harmony. Even the peaceful Zanari, who rarely took sides, remained silent, a silence that spoke volumes. Imelda stood motionless, her expression unreadable. Beside her, Tiberius Kane, humanity's chief military advisor, shifted his weight slightly. The movement was subtle, but those who knew him recognized it as anticipation. "We understand the council's position," Imelda said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustic perfection. "However, we request a demonstration. Allow us to show what humanity has achieved." Crystal's multifaceted eyes glittered with amusement. "A demonstration? Very well, human. We could use entertainment. The council grants you one standard cycle to prepare your display." Murmurs of laughter echoed through the chamber. The idea that these newcomers, barely 3 centuries into space travel, could present anything worthy of the council's attention was absurd. They had reviewed human technology, fusion drives, kinetic weapons, energy shields derived from Voltorian hand-me-downs purchased at exorbitant prices. Nothing remarkable, nothing threatening. Tiberius leaned close to Imelda, whispering words only she could hear. She nodded once, then addressed the council again. "We won't need a cycle. We're ready now." The laughter died into curious silence. "Proceed," Crystal commanded, settling into his elevated throne with the confidence of absolute power. Imelda tapped her wrist console. "Admiral Rodriguez, you may begin." High above the council chamber, in the black expanse where no sensors had detected anything unusual, reality began to fold. Space itself seemed to shudder, then tear, as 3 massive shapes materialized from absolute nothingness. They hadn't traveled through space, they had emerged from somewhere else entirely. The council's sensors screamed warnings. Emergency protocols activated across 47 different systems simultaneously. But no one moved. They couldn't. They were too busy staring at the impossible vessels hovering above them. The warships were enormous, dwarfing even the Kreth dreadnoughts that had dominated galactic military doctrine for millennia. But their size wasn't what paralyzed the council. It was what they were made of, or rather, what they weren't made of. The ships existed as dark absences against the stars, visible only by the way light bent around them. Warping and twisting in their presence, dark matter, breathed Councillor Vexana of the Zanari, her telepathic voice touching every mind in the chamber with disbelief. "They've weaponized dark matter." Tiberius stepped forward, his military bearing suddenly far more impressive than it had seemed moments before. The HMS Defiance, HMS Indomitable, and HMS Resolute, humanity's first generation of dark matter warships. They exist partially outside normal spacetime, making them effectively invisible to conventional sensors. They can phase through solid matter, including planetary shields and armor. Their weapons manipulate gravitational forces at the quantum level. He paused, letting the information sink in. Would the council like a more detailed demonstration? Crystal's mandibles had frozen mid-click. His voice, when it came, lacked its earlier arrogance. How did we develop technology that surpasses the council's by several orders of magnitude?" Imelda finished his question. "You assumed we were primitives because we bought your old fusion drives and energy shields. You never asked why we were buying them, or what we were doing with our own research." She walked to the center of the chamber, her footsteps echoing in the stunned silence. "Well, we purchased your consumer-grade technology for our civilian sector. Humanity's best minds were pursuing a different path. We started from a different premise than the Council species. You explored matter and energy. We explored what exists between them, the dark universe that comprises 95% of reality. Tiberius continued the explanation. It took us 200 years, thousands of scientists working in secret installations. We nearly bankrupted ourselves 3 times. But we understood something critical. To join the Council, we couldn't play by your rules. We had to change the game entirely. On the viewing screens throughout the chamber, telemetry data from the warships began displaying. The numbers were staggering. Energy outputs that exceeded Council dreadnoughts by factors of hundreds. Propulsion systems that violated understood physics. Weapons that could destabilize stellar masses. Impossible. Crystal finally managed. Our scientists reviewed your capabilities thoroughly. You reviewed what we showed you. Imelda corrected gently. Humanity learned an important lesson early in our history. Never show all your cards at once. We let you believe we were struggling newcomers, buying time to complete our research. Councillor Vexana rose from her seat, her crystalline form refracting the chamber's light into prismatic patterns. This changes everything. The military balance of the galaxy need not change at all, Imelda interrupted. Humanity doesn't seek dominance. We seek partnership, equality, and respect. We've demonstrated our capability not as a threat, but as proof that we belong at this table. She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes or equivalent organs of each representative. The Council has maintained galactic peace for 10 millennia. That's admirable. But it's also grown complacent. Humanity offers something you've lost, the drive to push boundaries, to explore the impossible, to never accept that we've reached the limits of what we can achieve. Tiberius added, "We're not asking you to fear us. We're asking you to imagine what we could accomplish together. What happens when humanity's innovation combines with the Volturians' mathematical genius, the Kreth's engineering mastery, the Zaneri's philosophical wisdom?" The silence in the chamber had transformed. No longer was it the stunned silence of shock, but the contemplative silence of minds reconsidering everything they thought they knew. Crystal slowly rose from his throne. When he spoke, his voice carried a weight it hadn't before. Respect. "The Council will need time to deliberate." Imelda smiled. "Of course. Take all the time you need. We've waited 3 centuries. We can wait a little longer." As she and Tiberius turned to leave, Vexana's telepathic voice touched their minds privately. "You've terrified them, you know, and impressed them. Perhaps that's the same thing." Imelda's smile widened. "Perhaps. But either way, they're listening now." Above the Council chamber, the 3 dark matter warships faded back into the spaces between spaces, leaving only gravitational echoes to mark where they had been. And in that chamber, the Council of the Stars began the first real debate it had held in 1,000 years. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same.